Hello and welcome to Complete with DLC, the only show that could have gone to ancient Rome. I'm one of your hosts, Griffin, and sitting across from me is the Roman himself, Brad Knight. Brad, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I got a coffee, I got a water. I'm ready to do a podcast.
Yeah, how have you been since we last recorded an episode?
I've been busy trying to be a Pokemon master with a new certain mobile app that came out yesterday. Sort of.
We'll talk about that more and what we're playing. But I had a terrible day yesterday.
Really?
Yeah. Well, number one, other than trying to get that certain mobile app to work at first, which was just a process and a half, I also had to go to the worst store known to man, which is Walmart.
Oh.
Yeah. Because I needed to buy a memory card for the new camera that I got, because apparently the memory card that I had wasn't sufficient enough for it.
Yeah, you see, the laws of nature work differently in a Walmart. They don't exactly follow the laws of the rest of the world.
It's like the Wild West in there.
Basically.
Let me tell you something, too, about what pissed me off the most, right? They have a camera section at Walmart, which is it's a pitiful section, but still, they have an area where cameras are done, and they have SD cards there, right?
Yeah.
And micro SD cards. So you figure, oh, here's where all their micro SD cards are going to be. No, you'd be wrong. At another section in the electronics, on the other side, there's more SD cards, which had the ones that I was looking for.
Well, of course, Jacob. That just makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you keep all the micro SD cards together? I mean, Samsung, I guess, is too good to be with all the rest of them.
They demanded their products be alone.
Then the other thing that really ticked me off was the fact that I went up there, right, and on the Walmart website, it's listed for $9.99, but at the thing, it's listed as $14.99 over where the cards are. So I figured, oh, maybe they just haven't updated the price here yet, or maybe it's like a special sale they're doing or whatever. So I walk up to the woman, right, and I show her, like, oh, on the website it's at $9.99, but over there it's listed as $14.99. Is that like a mix-up or whatever? She looked at me literally like I had just kicked her baby off a freeway, and like I was the devil. And then she was like, I guess I can price check that for you. Like, you're not price checking it for me. This is your store's price.
Well, see, the reason she was so angry with you is because she hadn't been doing work all day, and you were the first person to come up to her and ask her to do her job, and she was not having it.
I was there at 7:30 in the morning, Brad. They had just opened a half hour earlier.
I would have punched you in the face if you asked me to do something like that at 7:30 in the morning. At 7 o'clock in the morning, I don't want to breathe, much less do work.
I didn't ask her to do anything. I asked her just to put the price that's the right price on it for me. Well, I didn't want to spend $5 that I didn't have to spend.
Well, she has to then go on their website to double check that price is real, and then you didn't fake the image. So that's sort of where her side of the work comes in. It's not hard work at all. It's just she has to double check, but it's work nonetheless that she probably didn't want to do.
But still, though, just the way that she looked at me like I had literally slit her mother's throat right in front of her just because I asked her to, change the price to the right price was just like, it was ridiculous. But anyway, that's my little story about why Walmart is the worst and everyone should stop going there.
Yeah, good luck, Walmart. The Walmart makes more money than most of the small countries in the world, so it's not going to happen.
I know, it doesn't make any sense, because number one, it's like an awful store, and number two, it's just like, the people that run it are awful. Like, the people who run it at the corporate level. Like, in English class, we had to read a story about how, like, the CEO of Walmart hit a woman with her car when she was drunk driving and got off because she runs Walmart. Just terrible.
As a store, as a concept, they're great. But, it's more of the people that shop at Walmart are the problem, not the Walmart itself.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And I think that if you go to a certain Walmart, it's not as bad as others. Like, the one in our city, because our city's just awful, is the worst Walmart that you can go to. And so, like, there's other ones, like, in the next, like, town over that isn't that bad. But still, I can't stand Walmart. And I think that we should all boycott Walmart.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
If you're going to try to, starve them out, you're going to need, your grandchildren are going to need to finish that boycott for you.
Speaking of finishing up boycotts, though, do you want to get into what we're playing? Brad, what have you been playing this week?
So I've been playing Pokemon Go, a game we've talked about quite frequently on the show, and it finally came out yesterday. Well, it was supposed to come out yesterday, but it was kind of a haphazard launch. Like, They're like, oh, it's out on Android and iOS now, but oh wait, it's not on iOS yet. Hold on, it'll be there soon. And oh yeah, and the Android guys, it says it's available, but it's not available in your country, even though we said it would be. And it's a whole big blah. But
And then if you were on iOS, you had to make like an Australia App Store account.
yeah, because only the Australians and the New Zealanders had it at first,
Yeah.
which was really odd.
Yeah, I know. Not even like, I don't even think Japan had it.
No, but
But you think it would be there first.
here I'll showing my phone to the camera right now, but this is basically all the game is. You see this little overlay? It's just a little like cartoony overlay of Google Maps with your little avatar standing where you're standing because it looks for GPS, and you walk around and Pokemon pop out, and then you fling a Pokeball at them and you catch them, and it is nothing like a Pokemon game, exactly like they said it. It was not going to be a Pokemon game in the traditional sense, and I'm okay with that.
I mean, now that you've told me that they had said that beforehand, and I guess it was maybe just my expectations getting in the way of it, like, I'm not that mad about it, I guess. It's just, like, it's not really a game. It seems to be a lot of, hey, if you're walking around, here's this extra added layer that you can add to your workout.
Yeah, and I think that was all it was meant to be. It was never meant to be a full-fledged, Pokemon game, because they're never going to be able to achieve the level of polish that Nintendo can achieve in their games. So they stuck with what they could do.
I think with a couple updates, though, they could get it to maybe a good place. As of now, though, I think a lot of what I think needs to be done to this is fixing their servers, at least on the iOS side. I don't know about... You seem to be running it fine, but on iOS, like, I think I've played it maybe twice where the servers weren't down when I went to go play it. But there was also that point where I didn't have, I guess, the official released version.
Yeah,
for a little bit.
You were still going through the Australian backdoor.
Well, I didn't even do an Australian backdoor.
Sounds
it was
like
weird.
a sex position.
It does. But there was like a YouTube video I was looking at of trying to get it, because one of the people I followed on Twitter was like, Pokemon Go isn't on iOS yet, and that's ridiculous. And someone like added them with like a YouTube video that said, go to this website and you can download it here and it works. And I did that and it worked. But like, it worked twice for me, and then I couldn't play it. And then this morning I downloaded the official release version, and their servers are still down.
Nope, I downloaded at about as soon as it came available on Android, for me at least, at about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And I haven't had an issue since. I've been playing it, I played it most of the night, and I have caught 18 Pokemon and have not left my house. So, and I think only 4 of them are duplicates. So I think I have 14 unique.
So you've essentially taken all the physical activity out of playing Pokemon Go.
Well, yes and no, because there are only certain ones that that'll appear around me, right? Like after, I think there are only 3 more that I can get around me that I've seen that I haven't caught yet. And one of them I don't think I can get, because I think he's across the street. There's a Drowsy, and I think he's at the nursing home across my street, like literally right across
That makes sense,
from my
that
house.
a Drowsy would be there.
Yeah, I guess he's like hypnotizing all the old people so they can go back to bed. But I'm having a lot of fun with it, honestly. It's not, once you get past the fact that like you're not going to be like Pokemon battling in the traditional sense, and this is really just kind of a collector's game, right? Like you walk around and you try to collect them all, not because you want to fight them and beat the Elite Four or anything, just because you want to collect them, which is honestly 90% of the reason I play Pokemon anyway. This
game, though, and I know this from first-hand experience of yesterday, it gets you strange looks when you're walking down the street.
Oh, absolutely.
Mainly because yesterday, I was walking down the street, I came to a dead stop in the middle of the sidewalk, and I caught a Pidgey. But it was the fact of, I stopped, I had my phone out, I was aiming it, and I was flicking something. I was flicking the Pokeball up to catch it. And then the Pokestop that's down the street from our house is right in front of the Jewish cemetery that we have.
Yep.
It's literally, that's the Pokestop. So I was standing in front of the gate with my phone aimed at it, spinning a thing so I could get Pokeballs and stuff.
It's, I don't think I've ever seen as many people contemplate breaking and entering as the launch of Pokemon Go. Because everybody simultaneously went, oh, there's a Pokemon in my neighbor's house, but how do I get it?
Well, no, apparently, too, I found this out later on because I just went to Cumberland Farms, the convenience store up the street from our house, just to get a drink, and it's right across the street from that Jewish cemetery. So, apparently, all you have to be is, like, within a certain range or something, and that you can pick it up then.
Yeah.
So I didn't even have to stand in front of the gate the first time. But even still, I looked weird standing on the sidewalk doing it, aiming it at the Jewish cemetery. But, like, so I think, like, you don't have to break into your neighbor's house. You can just kind of be in a certain range of your neighbor's house. But, sure, if you want to be a crazy person and break into your neighbor's house to catch a Pikachu, do that.
Yeah, you know what? It depends on the Pokemon, really. I'd have to figure out which one it is first. But, I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I want to check out the gym. There's a gym near us, isn't there?
Yeah, it's the Elks Club up the street.
All right. Well, I'm almost level 5, so once I am, I'll have to head over there and check that out. I only need, I think, probably 2 more catches, and I'll be level 5.
Maybe one day when the servers work, I can finally become a level 5.
One day.
Yeah. Did you play anything else other than Pokemon Go, though?
Not really. That's been absorbing most of my time since we last talked.
We've only had one day since we last talked, and Pokemon Go came out on that day.
Yeah, I was gonna play Banner Saga, but I decided against it. I will probably check that out over the weekend if I do get any time. But what are you, Jacob? You play anything other than Pokemon Go?
I played Saints Row: Gat Out of Hell, which is the free Saints Row game they gave out on PlayStation. It's really not very good.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I don't know, it's fine, I guess, because it's not like a full Saints Row game. It's meant as like a spin-off title. It feels a lot like it would have been like an add-on for the 4th one.
Yeah.
But instead of playing as your regular Saints Row character, you play as Johnny Gat, and you're in hell trying to save the main character of Saints Row. And so they've just kind of repurposed a lot of the superpower stuff from 4 and put like a hell/demon slant on it. So instead of like gliding now like you did in Saints Row 4, you can fly now and you spurt out like demon wings, and you can run really fast and stuff like that. But it's just like a lot of it just like it doesn't look very good, which I've come to my peace, I guess, with that with Saints Row, where it's never going to be like this, powerhouse graphical franchise.
Yeah, it wasn't ever really its goal.
Yeah. But, like, I think I've finally just hit the point where Saints Row where I think they've gone too crazy.
Really?
With this. Yeah. And, like, don't get me wrong, like, I've liked Saints Row from the beginning. I liked it back when it was just a GTA knockoff, and then when they tried to separate themselves, I was like, alright, that's good for Saints Row to do that, because, they'll never hit GTA levels, you know what I mean? Like, if they had just stayed on the track that they were from, like, 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And then 3, was still a gang game, but then it got crazier. And then in 4 they just went off the wall with like aliens, and you had superpowers and you were inside like a simulation.
Yeah.
And stuff like, and so like I think it's fun, but like at a certain point I just gotta wonder like if maybe they should go back to basics with Saints Row, where like spin it off into a different franchise if you want to do the superhero stuff, which it seems like that's what they're doing with Agents of Mayhem, because from what I've read, one of the endings of Gat Out of Hell sets up the world where Agents of Mayhem happens, or something like that, which is the new game that the Saints Row guys are making.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. There's just like stuff in this game that I'm just like, I think that this is going a little bit too far. And like, it's still kind of fun because it has like that collect-a-thon kind of thing that Saints Row 4 had, which kind of always interests me. Which it kind of scratched that itch of like Crackdown back in the day, where you collect all the orbs and stuff in Crackdown. It would do that. It did that sort of thing for me. So like, I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna keep playing it, but also too like the cutscenes are just like really weird, because there's other like these weird like animated cutscenes that are like clearly like, you know how sometimes in Saints Row they have like the janky ones that aren't like actual cutscenes. They're just like the ones that are like, oh, that guy's getting away, chase him down.
Yeah.
Whatever, and it's just him getting into a car and saying something. Like they have those, and then they have these weird like animated cutscenes, like they're like drawn out, like hand drawn, kind of like when we played that Just Cause DLC.
Yeah, it had those weird like slideshow cutscenes.
Yeah, it's exactly like that, except it's meant to be like the pages of like a book that's being read, and it's drawn out and stuff. So like, I don't know, like it just doesn't seem like, and I knew that it wasn't a full Saints Row game going in, so I guess I'm not that upset about it. But like, it just seems like a weird, like, I don't know, like sidestep that they maybe shouldn't have done.
it's sort of a tough position for them to be in, right? Because at this point, they can't go back to being normal because there's no way they can ever compete with GTA. Like,
Yeah.
if they couldn't do it before, they certainly can't do it now.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I don't know that, like, once you start going the crazy route, there's only so far you can go, right? Like, at some point, you can't one-up your last title. So I think they're reaching the point where they're going to find it tough to keep making it crazier and crazier and still have it be appealing, right? Because you can make it as outlandish as you want, but if at some point you want your player base to still understand what's going on and have some inkling of a clue as to what they're supposed to be doing and why they're doing it, and you still want a cohesive story, even though it's sort of ridiculous. But so I think the Saints Row guys are kind of in a tough spot, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see another Saints Row game from them for a while. Instead, they're probably going to work on these other franchises.
Yeah, like, you got to assume that Saints Row will come back one day because, like, you know, it's Saints Row. It's a big enough franchise to come back.
Yeah.
But, like, I think for right now they're going to focus on that Agents of Mayhem game and maybe trying to build that out. And maybe even after that, maybe we'll get another Saints Row game, which, you know, who knows? It could be like a reboot, maybe.
Maybe they'll find another series to parody instead of GTA this time.
Yeah, I mean, could very well be a thing. Maybe they'll make a Call of Duty knockoff.
Oh, God.
But yeah, so that's pretty much all I've been playing besides Pokemon Go.
I will update the show on Tuesday as to what the Banner Saga 2 is like, because I'm actually very excited to play that game.
Yeah, I wanna check that out. I started my download of it, but I never finished downloading it. I think mainly because, like, I wanted to play a game, and if you try to do that at the same time on Xbox, you'll just lag up a storm. So
yeah, I was gonna boot it up, and then I'm like, but I could watch Deadpool while I play something else, and that's what I did. I ended up rewatching Deadpool.
Great movie.
It is. It is very. I wasn't sure how I was gonna like it the second time around because a lot of that movie is just it's funny, and once you've heard the jokes, they
Yeah.
But no, it still holds up pretty well. But something I realized in the second viewing is what was her name? Angel, the super strong girl.
Yeah.
She literally has like 4 lines.
Yeah, I know.
Like, she only speaks like 4 times. It's actually amazing that she has any speaking roles in this movie at all.
Yeah, I think most of her lines are during that fight with Colossus.
Yeah, it's like 3 of the 4 are in there, and she has like 1 when she first meets like Wade in that knockoff X-Men factory.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So if that's all we played this week, why don't we get into the news? So, Brad, we were speaking of Call of Duty in the last thing, and how would you feel if they made a Call of Duty in ancient Rome?
I would kind of love it.
Yeah. Well, Activision once considered a Call of Duty pitch that would have taken the military shooter franchise to the battlefields of ancient Rome, reports GamesRadar. Citing multiple sources, GamesRadar reports that the project was known as Call of Duty Roman Wars and was in development at Vicarious Visions late in the previous decade. Vicarious Visions, which is located near Albany, New York, is an Activision-owned studio, best known for its work on the Skylanders and Guitar Hero franchises. Roman Wars would have reportedly have focused on Julius Caesar's 10th Legion, a cavalry unit that was Caesar's most trusted legion. The unit was featured heavily in a commentary on the Gallic War. I don't know what that is. Caesar's first-hand account of the wars that he fought against the Gallic tribes in 58 to 50 BC. And the Roman War story was reportedly based on that work. A GamesRadar source named only as Polmus, I don't know, described the prototype as a pitch of a single level based on 52 BC's Battle of Alesia. The goal was to take out archers, and the game could have accomplished that. The player could have accomplished that objective by using catapults, siege towers, or war elephants, which the player could ride as they trampled enemies on the battlefield. The part of the demo that was played from the third-person perspective, but a smaller portion of the prototype, was first-person gladiator-esque battle in Rome's Colosseum. Vicarious Visions was planning a story for Roman Wars that would have spanned multiple characters, just like Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare and Call of Duty World at War before it. You're going to play as a lead centurion. You're going to play as a grunt, and you were going to play all the way up to Julius Caesar himself, Paul Moose said to GamesRadar. They reached out to Activision for a comment where they said that the game concept was proposed by a former employee while working at the studio, but was not seriously considered nor requested to move to prototype. So basically, what do you think about what this game could have been? Because it sounds kind of interesting, but it doesn't sound like Call of Duty to me.
Well, I think that was kind of the idea when it was pitched to them, right? Because if they had done this, right, this was the previous decade, so quite a few years ago, and it would have been before this whole issue we're having now, where Call of Duty feels too stale. So had they gone this route, we probably wouldn't be having that conversation about Call of Duty.
Here's the thing I could see with this game, right? Is this game would have came out, we would have been like, even if it was a good game, we would have been like, oh wow, this is an interesting place to take Call of Duty, and I guarantee they would have never done it again, because I doubt, like, just looking at this game's prototype, but you can't really say anything about the prototype, you know what I mean? But as it is, just looking at it, this doesn't seem like the game that Call of Duty fans would have wanted. And sure, Call of Duty fans will complain that it's getting stale, you know, day in and day out, but they'll still buy Call of Duty every year. So, I don't know. I think, like, this would have been a game that people would have looked at and been like, this is not for me.
I disagree. I think it would have been a very interesting way to take Call of Duty. I think it would have done very well. The only thing I would have been worried about is they'd have to sort of, well, one, the studio that had in charge of it. I don't know if I want Vicarious doing this, since they don't really have any experience in this area. And for something that's as drastic a change to the norm as this would be to Call of Duty, I would want a company that has more experience in this area than Vicarious. Nothing against them; they're a great studio, but when you're taking a risk like this, you want to minimize the risk as much as you can.
Yeah, you'd probably want to put like a Treyarch or an Infinity Ward on this one.
I mean, even you don't even need to call it like the name shooter guys on this, because this isn't going to be a shooter.
Right.
So get somebody who's more accustomed to making, you know, hand-to-hand combat, or, you know, the sword fighting games, and I think they would do a very good job with it. But I really think this game could have done very well. I don't know how I feel about you playing as Julius Caesar like they had said, but
why? What's up with that you wouldn't like that?
Because I feel like when you're playing through a moment of history, right? Like Call of Duty World at War did, or you know, anything that recreates something that's happened in the past and is not a work of fiction, or is a work of fiction but is based on real life, you should try to minimize your interaction with the higher-ups in a way that could change the way that history was supposed to work, right? So if you play as Julius Caesar, you're not really going to be able to do much, because we have a very clear record of what Julius Caesar did and how he did it. So that's exactly how the game is going to have to play out. So instead of being Julius Caesar, why not be one of his generals, right? He had plenty of generals, and we know the thing you talked about earlier, the Commentari di Belligacio is the
Jeez, where did that come from? How do you know how to say that perfectly?
I don't know. I like languages, but I don't even think I said that perfectly. I screwed up the Galacio, but the Caesar was very fond of writing down his military exploits, so that's how we have so many accounts of what his battles and how he did on the field. That's how we know he was such a great general, is because he wrote down everything that he did. And I think being one of those generals that he talked about would have been a much better experience, because you can feel sort of Caesar's power better if you're a general standing next to him than if you're him himself, right? And I feel like Caesar's a very powerful character that you can use that power to make the game better than it would have been otherwise. But this game would have had to overcome a lot of hurdles to be good. Like, they'd have to revamp the combat system to be more akin to what it would have been like. It would have been difficult, but I think if they had pulled it off, it would have been one of the best games in the franchise.
Yeah, I would have been interested to see it. It would have been something different. But I get why they wouldn't have gone with that pitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems absurd, right? Like, if you had, especially from a business perspective, like, listen, I know you guys are based on shooters and everything from after, you know, the invention of gunpowder, but what if we were to tell you that you could go back to Rome and just throw spears and stab people? They would have looked at you like you're crazy.
Yeah. They should make an American Revolution Call of Duty.
Oh, I'm sure we're no more than a few years away from it.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? We'll keep going into the future, probably.
I mean, they're running out of wars eventually, so they have to. I think this is going to be the last future one for a while, maybe, because
Depending on how it does.
yeah, depending on how it does. But if they do decide to go back in the past, there's only so many wars that they can do.
Yeah. Maybe they'll do World War One next.
Well, I mean, yeah, they could do that. World War One is huge. There are tons of battles that never get talked about, like the battles of South Africa that never get touched on. So,
But moving on to another game that's kind of would have been like that Roman War one, The Witcher 3, which is a pretty big game, and it's getting a Game of the Year edition. So, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt developer CD Projekt Red is planning a release of a Game of the Year edition to the open world action game. With all the free DLC and updates the game has received so far, including significant changes to the game's interface and mechanics, many players have asked us if we're working on some sort of Game of the Year edition, said game director Konrad Thomas. They're Polish, so difficult to read their names.
Konrad Polish.
Yeah. I'm happy to confirm, yes, plans are in motion to release such an edition. We'll release more details, including the release date, in the future. The news was first reported by Eurogamer after a rating for such an edition was spotted on USK, the German ratings board. Citing an anonymous source, Eurogamer reports that The Witcher 3 Game of the Year edition will be available August 26th, although CD Projekt Red representative told Polygon that the studio currently doesn't have any details to share on when it will be released. So, are you excited for this edition, Brad? I mean, you already have the game, so I'm sure you don't really care, but...
Actually, yes, I am very excited for this edition, simply because I don't own either of the DLC, and at this point, it'll be probably cheaper and more efficient for me to just buy the Game of the Year edition than to buy the DLC.
No, well, wait, you already have the game, right?
Yeah.
No, what is it? The season pass is only $25.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. I might want to go on PC. I might want to... Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I guess that is also a contributing factor. Yeah, if you're going to go on PC, then yeah.
I mean, I do own Destiny on both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, so it wouldn't be the first time I've bought a game for multiple platforms.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of it in the fact of, oh, maybe he'll go to a different platform. I was just thinking of it as you'd probably stick with your save or whatever, but then you've also been going back and playing 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, I'm about, I want to say 20 hours, maybe not 20 hours, maybe about like 16 hours into 1 in total. It's, I'm getting there slowly. Eventually I will get back to 3, but it's going to take me a while.
Well, yeah, so if you're going to go to PC, I would probably say just buy the Game of the Year edition.
And all you guys who just bought Witcher on Steam from that Steam sale are probably kind of annoyed right now.
Yeah, probably. Speaking of that Steam sale, the Steam Summer Sale was even bigger than last year's. The recently wrapped Steam Summer Sale proved to be even bigger success than last year's, according to Steam Spy. Data culled from the second annual sales period points to this year's bargains, generating more than $230 million in revenue, ahead of last year's $160 million pull. Steam Spy founder Sergey... What is up with all these names today? Galionkin hopes to publish a more in-depth breakdown of the year-over-year changes later this week, but early calculations include the number of games sold, 37 million, 4 million more than last year's summer sale, and along with some of the biggest games. The biggest of these, according to Steam Spy's own charts, is Limbo, which sold more than 1.1 million copies over the course of the sales period. Which, what's especially interesting is that Limbo wasn't actually discounted during the summer sale. Instead, its success is likely due to the anticipation for its follow-up, Inside, which is now available on Windows PC, which it was on Xbox last week. The only game listed to have broken 1 million units during the summer sale was Limbo. Other big discounted hits include BioShock 2, Stardew Valley at 179,000 copies each, and Counter-Strike Global Offensive, one of Valve's most popular titles, was also at the top of the list. And there's a whole list of games here that sold really well. Seems like the second highest selling game was Payday 2, which had 526,380 units sold. So, what do you think? Are you
I am
happy with these numbers? I mean, you don't have like any horse in this race, but
Well, it's interesting, right? Because the Steam sale the Steam sale this year, let's see if I can learn how to speak English again, has been different from years past, and that's the fact that flash sales are no longer a thing. And that's partly, I think, because of their new refund system, which wasn't in place in time for last year's summer sale. So the way their refund system works, for those who don't know, if you buy a game and you have under a certain amount of time in it, I think it's like 2 to 5 hours or something like that, you can message Steam customer support and say, hey, look, I'd like a refund, whether because you just didn't like the game or whatever. I don't even think they ask for a reason. If you just have under that certain amount of time in the game, you can send it back. And the reason they had to do away with flash sales this year is because of that refund system, where they would get like thousands and thousands of requests of people who bought a game, and then it would go up on a flash sale immediately, and then they'd ask for a refund so they could buy it at a cheaper price, which is not against the refund rules. Steam themselves have said, or Valve has said that, yeah, refunding a game to buy it at a cheaper price is a perfectly legitimate reason to refund. It's just the fact that they would need so much more manpower to handle all the requests that they would get. I just think that it was not a feasible option for them. So the fact that it did significantly better than years past with the 230 million as opposed to 160, that's really surprising to me, because I always figured flash sales are one of the biggest
draws,
right? Because it's like when you're waiting in line at when you're grocery shopping, and you're sitting there looking at the magazines, and there's like a little mini fridge filled with soda and some bubble gum, and you know what, I'm leaving. I might as well just grab, a soda and a candy bar on the way out. Like, that's what the flash sales are. Like, you bought your big games, but oh wait, this is only gonna be on sale for the next hour, so I better grab it while it's still on sale. It has that sense of urgency to it, right?
Right.
And with that being gone, I'm surprised it did as well as it did. I'm surprised the fact that it 70 million is a huge difference.
Yeah, from a lot of, I'm surprised too, because from what a lot of people that I heard talking, they were just like, this isn't even like that good of a sale. Like, a lot of the same stuff / same discounts that were there last year or in years, or like in other sales that they've had.
Yeah.
Whether it was the winter sale or any other sales that might have popped up on Steam. I think that overall, though, this is a good thing that this sale that this sale continues to do so well, because it tells people like, hey, big sales like this can generate a lot of revenue, and I think big sales like this are good for the industry at large, at least.
Yeah, I mean, sales like this are what give PC gaming sort of its merit, right? Like, it's this time of year that PC gamers all around the world justify spending, thousands of dollars in their PC because they can spend pennies on games instead.
Yeah.
And if you look at this top 10 list here, there's a reason that these games are in the top 10. Like, Payday 2 is on sale every year. Like you said, people had said this is very similar to last year's. Well, they're right. Payday 2, Counter-Strike, Garry's Mod, Left 4 Dead 2, Age of Empires, all of these games are regularly on sale, and they all sell every single time.
These two, I think, are the games that, like, when people are getting their new PCs, they're like, when they say they watch, like, YouTube videos or whatever about PC gaming, these are the ones that people are like, well, I need these games, right? I need Payday 2, I need Counter-Strike, I need Garry's Mod, Left 4 Dead, so-and-so.
I mean, even that, it's just, like, as soon as they get into Steam, there's, like, just a list of games that Steam will recommend you, and a lot of time, Valve's own titles are on there, like Left 4 Dead, so it's not that terribly shocking. And as for BioShock 2, they did announce that anybody who has the PC versions of BioShock 1 and 2 get the upgraded remasters for free, so that's kind of why everybody bought it for the Steam Summer Sale. And Stardew Valley is just a really good game, so. You
don't get the collection for free, though. You just get the upgraded version of...
Yeah, you just get the HD remake.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, I could be totally wrong in that.
Yeah, who knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but now we must wait until the winter sale.
Yes. Xbox is doing a sale right now, too, which seems pretty alright. They have Doom on sale. So
everybody's selling Doom on sale right now. It's a fantastic time.
Thinking about getting Doom.
I totally recommend it.
But moving more onto more PC stuff, Evolve yesterday got taken off of Steam, and everyone was like, what's going on with Evolve? And they just put it back up as a free-to-play title, and now it's going back into beta. So it now has a new name called Evolve Stage 2, and you can play on Steam today for free. Included in Stage 2 are several new modes, characters, maps, unlockables, and more. It launches with more content today, which was, that is today. So you're getting more stuff even if you play today. Here's a quote from the developers themselves. When Evolve launched, the reception wasn't what we expected.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I know. Sure, there were some good reviews. There were also bad reviews. Yes, there was excitement. There was also disappointment for players and for us. The pair referenced the criticism received due to the game's pricey downloadable content, adding several maps and hunters to the game despite earlier promises that they would be added for free. So basically you had to pay for them. Those who spent money on the DLC and the full $39.99 release of Evolve prior to Stage 2 will be able to carry over the content they already own. Turtle Rock Studios also promised gifts, rewards, and special access to longtime Evolve players. No mention was made for the console versions, which are still up for sale on the PlayStation Store and Xbox Live. The publisher 2K, though, then told Polygon that they have nothing to add to the console on a console release to Stage 2, but that developers, in the developer announcement message, a community manager added that Turtle Rock expects to launch the overhaul on consoles following the end of the PC beta. So this game, this seems to me like desperation to try to get some life out of this game that seemingly has died.
I mean, I don't see it as that simply because this game has been dead for a while now. Like, it's not dying, it's dead. And if they were going to do a desperate attempt to get some traffic back, they would have done it a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I just realized that 36 minutes into this recording, I never started recording on OBS. So.
Oh. There's no video.
Nope,
great.
No video. Well, that's great. But anyway, and I showed the phone to a recording that wasn't even recording. Well, that's great. But yeah, this to me just seems like a developer and a publisher trying to make a second attempt. Like it's literally just their Stage 2. I don't think this is any act of desperation. I think this is great. They're trying to fix the mistakes that they made, which they're many in number, but they're not insurmountable. So I think they can remake this game into something that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it isn't like oh, they're just desperate to get some money out of this. Like I meant it like as in this was their way of doing like a, hey, our game is pretty much dead at this point. Like if there are people playing it, it's not a huge amount. So like let's try to get some life back into this game by making it free to play. Like a lot of games that come out first as paid things and then go free to play end up doing great. Like DC Universe Online or Star Wars: The Old Republic did a lot better once it went free to play. So, like, I could see this maybe getting some people back in there, but my whole thing with Evolve was when I played it, I just didn't think it controlled that well. Like, that's why I never... Because they did, like, those, free play weekends on Xbox and stuff that they do sometimes. They had done it with Evolve, and I played it, and I was just like, this game just doesn't, like, control well to me. So, like, I mean, I don't know, unless the overhaul of what they're doing is maybe fixing up some of that janky gameplay stuff that could make this game, really good and worth looking at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I saw some internet annoyance that the console versions had to wait for their free versions, but this is the way it's always done, guys. They're gonna beta the PC first to fix all the issues, and once the beta's done, then you'll get it. I mean, I own Evolve on PlayStation 4, so I'll have to wait for my version as well, but I mean, I think that's fine. It's let them fix the problems that they want to fix, and then we can try out their new product, and hopefully it's something that we can all enjoy.
I think even then, with the annoyance, who's buying this on consoles right now? You know what I mean?
I mean, right now nobody, but I mean, I got it when it came out, so. Yeah,
exactly. Like the people who I think got it on consoles either already bought it or they would buy it if it was on sale. But as of now that they know this news, just don't buy it.
Yeah.
Wait until it comes free to play.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what they do. Maybe I'll check out the PC beta and see what that's all about.
But continuing on with this PC news, the GTX 1060 has just been announced by NVIDIA. This seems to be their card that is directly performing against the AMD Radeon 480, right? Is it 480?
Yes.
And this is coming out for $249 The GTX 1060 will be as powerful as NVIDIA's GTX 980 card, and but only consume 120 watts of power and cost about $249 when it arrives on July 19th. The company announced this morning. Cards are expected from Asus, Colorful, EVGA, Gainward, Galaxy, Gigabyte, Innovision, 3D, MSI, Palette, PNY, and Zotac. NVIDIA's own Founders Edition of the card will sell for $299. The 1060 is built on a new chip called the GP106. Both the 1080 and 1070 use the GP104. The new card features 1,280 CUDA cores, 6 gigabytes of GDR5 memory running at 8 gigabits per second. Did I say that right? Yep. And a boost clock of 1.7 gigahertz, which can be overclocked to 2 gigahertz. As with both the 1070 and the 1080 Founders Edition cards, of the GTX 1060 Founders Edition has 3 display ports, an HDMI port, and a DVI port. NVIDIA says that across the top gaming titles, the 1060 is on average 15% better and over 75% more power efficient than the closest competitive product. Just last week, AMD unveiled its similarly priced Radeon RX 480. The cards sell for $199. And then basically, NVIDIA also announced that Mirror's Edge Catalyst and The Witcher 3 would be getting Ansel integration this month. Ansel is NVIDIA's built-in feature for capturing in-game screenshots. This basically is all just news that's coming out with the 1060, so the 1060 stuff is done. But what do you think of this card? Basically, my one reason of adding this to the thing was I wanted to ask you, should I get a 480 or a 1060 with my PC?
Well, so let me just clear up a few misleading things, because if you're not familiar with PC gaming and with PC building in particular, following the news of graphics cards can be difficult, and what I mean by that is this card is not going to sell for $249. This card is going to sell for $300 because that's the only card that's going to be available for probably 3 months until after launch. So the Founders Edition card, which is Founders Edition, is what this generation of graphics cards is being called as reference. So reference cards are cards made directly by NVIDIA from NVIDIA's own designs. All the companies that Jacob named earlier, Asus, EVGA, Gigabyte, Galaxy, MSI, those guys, they're called board partners. So board partners make their own cards with their own, slightly tweaked versions with different power deliveries and different cooling systems and all that. And those cards are almost always better than the reference cards. The problem is the Founders Edition cards, or the reference cards, are the only ones available at launch, and they're always they're going to be more expensive. So they're $300, and it's going to be a while until we see even the reference, or even the board partner cards drop down to $250. So while I say it's $250, it's not going to be $250. And as to whether or not it's actually going to beat a 980, I keep an eye on the benchmarks. There is absolutely no idea as to how this card is going to perform up to the 480 until we get benchmarks on it, because companies spout this sort of, it's our card is better than card X, like every single time a new card comes out. So the only way to be sure is to wait till the card actually comes out, and then check YouTube for the 1 billion, YouTube tech reviewers that do benchmarks on these games.
Yeah, that's what I did with the 480 when it came out.
Yeah, so it's, I am glad you put this in here. It gives me some PC gaming stuff to talk about, which I don't get to do very often, but it's
I'm pretty much just letting you take over this part.
Yeah, it's it is something that you need to slowly graduate, into getting into. It can be overwhelming at first, but my advice to anybody who's looking for graphics cards right now, or anybody who's considering a 1060 or a 480, wait for the 1060 to be released and wait for the benchmarks to see how it performs, because no card ever lives up to its hype. And if you're considering a 480 right now, I'll just throw this in as a little amendum. Then wait for the power draw issues to be fixed, or see how that plays out. If it gets worse, then don't buy it, but just wait to see what the news is going to be. But overall, just wait is pretty much the philosophy when it comes to graphics cards.
It's just wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, at best they last you 3 years. So
the problem with me waiting is that I really want to get my gaming PC now, but I also don't want my PC to die like in a month or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the power draw issues with the 480 are not as serious as some people make them seem. They're very, it's not terribly surprising. And they're going to be fixed via driver anyway, so it's not terrible. Right. And as for the NVIDIA side of things, I don't know. They seem to be taking a slightly different approach to the way they market graphics cards as to how they've done it in the past. So I'm curious to see if, for once we have, a decent competition between NVIDIA and AMD in terms of graphics cards. But if you're waiting on a graphics card, just wait for all the information to be out.
And so with the end of Brad, who actually knows what he's talking about in that sense.
Well, that's a stretch.
Yeah, I know, right? For once you actually are like an quote-unquote expert on something. We're going to move now into the wrap-up. So Red Dead Redemption is the next game to join Xbox One backwards compatibility library. Publisher Rockstar Games announced. Owners of the Western-based action title on Xbox 360 will be able to play it on their Xbox Ones. When this comes out, so it would be today, July 8th, regardless of what version they own. That could be either Red Dead Redemption, the regular version, Undead Nightmare, or the Red Dead Redemption Game of the Year edition, the studio has said. Also, as a result of this announcement, sales of Red Dead on Amazon have shot up 6,000%.
Which is based on sales percentages, not actual sales numbers, so that's a little misleading.
Yes. Yeah. I guess something like the percent that it was selling before is 6,000 times higher now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not terribly surprising. It's as soon as you announce a game like Red Dead for backwards compatibility, everybody who got rid of their copy is suddenly going to want it back.
Yeah, luckily I still have my disc copy over there, and I had all the DLC anyway, so...
Same.
I'm just gonna have it all, and that's basically all I'm gonna be playing for the rest of my life now.
And Undead Nightmare, I was never any good at, so I don't know. Maybe I'll have to try to get better at that.
Why weren't you good at Undead Nightmare?
I was terrible. I mean, I never beat Red Dead. I only have maybe 5 hours into it, if that. I very, very just skimped over it. I don't know what it was about that period of gaming. All games from that time period, I don't think I completed any of them. I skimmed a bunch of them and never completed them.
You're breaking my heart right now hearing this.
Yeah, but I have the Game of the Year edition with all the DLC and stuff, so I'll definitely be checking that out with backwards compatibility.
Continuing on with more Rockstar Games news, The Warriors, Rockstar Games' 2005 adaptation of the 1979 cult film, is now available on PlayStation 4 through the PlayStation Store. This is not a remaster, however, but the original game, originally launched on PlayStation 2 and Xbox, has full 1080p upscaling and support for trophies, remote play, and share play. The game was made available for PS3 over PSN back in 2013, and The Warriors on PS4 is... on sale for $14.99.
Not terribly surprising. They've been pushing this PS2 emulation on the PS4 for a while now, so, we got Bully, and now we have the Warriors.
Yeah, and, I think we have, all the PS2 games in there. I think Max Payne might be available. Yeah, Rockstar seems to really be getting behind the re-releasing of their PlayStation 2 games. And also, The Warriors is just a great game, so you should play it. And also, you should watch the movie The Warriors, because it's fantastic.
Yeah, I think Sony realized that, hey, listen, everybody's asking for PlayStation 3 games on PlayStation 4. We can't do that. But we can't do PlayStation 2, so let's just do that instead.
The weird thing about The Warriors to me that has always made me go, oh, that'll never happen when, all these Rockstar games are coming out, is that it also has a movie license behind it. So, I always figured that just the license holders for the Warriors would just be no, I mean, we're going to charge you some ridiculous fee to re-release it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's why I assume, games like Spider-Man 2 haven't come back on PS4, or, what's another good movie game? There isn't a lot, but I'm sure there's another good movie game on PS2.
Well, I think that maybe they're,
Or, The Simpsons Hit and Run hasn't come out on...
Well, the difference between Spider-Man and Simpsons and the Warriors is that Spider-Man and Simpsons are both ongoing franchises with, numerous properties being produced anyway, so they won't necessarily need a remake, whereas their license for this might be just sitting around, so, they figure, hey, listen, this will probably get us more money than what it's doing right now, so just let them do it.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I never really thought about the fact that the Warriors isn't an ongoing franchise, so maybe it doesn't have as much,
pull.
I don't know, clout. Yeah, pull or something like that. Although The Warriors is a great movie. Everyone should watch The Warriors. Let me give you the one sentence thing. This gang has to get through New York City with all the other gangs trying to murder them. It's literally a video game itself,
yeah.
The story of the movie. So you might as well just watch the movie and play the game because they're both fantastic. I think The Warriors is on Netflix, so give it a watch, people. But finally, for all my PlayStation Vita fans out there, you have a new way to watch live broadcasts of video games, creative pursuits, and people eating food thanks to the new release Twitch app for Sony's PlayStation Vita Portable. Twitch for PlayStation Vita lets users follow channels and watch live and recorded broadcasts, but that's pretty much about it. The Twitch app won't let users broadcast gameplay from their Vita and doesn't appear to support chat. The Twitch app does feature support for PlayStation TV, though, that weird $100 thing that they put out that just died after like a month.
I absolutely hate the Twitch app on PlayStation.
Why?
You'd think that with PlayStation being partnered with Twitch, and they have an app, and they're supposed to be buddy-buddy, you'd think their app would function. Or at least
I think most of the
function better than the Xbox 360 app, which I've been currently using or my brothers have been currently using to watch SGDQ.
I think every app, besides maybe the 360 Twitch app, which was alright, but like the Xbox One app and the PS4 app and even my phone app, like all the apps for Twitch are pretty awful.
I mean, I've never had a problem with my phone, Xbox One, or 360.
No, I hate the Xbox One app. I think it's so clunkily put together.
I mean...
Is clunkily a word? No, it's not.
It is now, but... I mean, it functions. Like, once I get it onto stream and I open it up, it works. And that's really all I ask for a streaming service. It's just, once I get you working... keep working. But
right.
With the PlayStation 4 one, like, it crashes constantly. When I turned on my Xbox, because I have it on my desk hooked up to my monitor, I turned it on to play some Rainbow Vegas 2. I walked out in my living room and realized that my brothers were no longer watching SGDQ, and I asked him what was going on. He's like, oh, well, we were watching it on the 360 because the PlayStation 4 app doesn't work, and when you logged on, it booted us off. So we have now come into an issue where we have to either decide whether I'm playing Xbox One or they're watching SGDQ.
Couldn't they just sign into a different Xbox Live account?
They could, but that would
Twitch?
take effort. Or I could sign into a different account in here, and but both of us are too lazy, so it's really just
right. Instead of the simple fix that you could have.
Yeah, we just try to not get in each other's way.
Right. I have a question about Xbox One for you.
Yes.
And I don't know if you've maybe noticed this. Some games do this to me, and it seems like a lot of the video apps do this to me too, where it like the app is either like too big for my TV, so like the edges get cut off. Like I noticed YouTube does this the worst, where like the edges of the YouTube video will get cut off, and same thing with like my Twitch when I watch Twitch broadcasts.
What size is your display?
It's 50 inches.
Oh yeah, so I think that might be the issue because
it even did it on my 32-inch TV. I've moved it to multiple different TVs. Like I moved it to my 32-inch downstairs. I did it at my dad's house. I did it at my grandma's house. Like it on every TV, it gets cut off, and I don't know why Xbox does this.
Well, I mean, I don't have an issue with it on my monitor, but it'll do that in the living room with the 50-inch television. So I think it's the size of the display that matters. So I think anything more than a 32-inch TV and above is going to have some cutoff issues, where anything smaller than that will be fine. If I had to guess, I don't know that for sure, but that's just my own experience.
And I've always just wondered why it does it, though, because it seems like it's only the Xbox. It's not any other of my consoles or my computer.
I honestly, I don't know, to be completely frank. I have no idea as to why that would be an issue with only the Xbox. It's probably the way that it displays the video. It doesn't actually look to see what size display it's displaying it to, so it just kind of plops it on the screen, and it doesn't always fit.
But I feel like a lot of this could be just fixed by, like, scaling. Like, adding a scaling setting. You know what I mean? Like, you know how most games have that thing where it's, like, fill the box until it hits your, like, edge of your screen. You know what I mean? Like, just do that in like, the system settings.
If I've learned anything about my few years in programming now, it's that nothing is done easily. So I'm sure while it seems like an easy feature to implement, I'm sure the guys at Twitch or any of the other streaming apps just do not want to have to deal with how much trouble that's going to be versus how much outcry it's generating, which is basically none.
Once again, let's start a petition.
Yeah.
But now that we're done with display talk for the week, let's move into the final segment of the show, which is, well, that sucked. Welcome to Well That Sucked. The way the game works is simple. I give Brad 3 randomly selected games, and he has to tell me which of the 3 is the lowest rated according to Metacritic. I can give Brad no help besides a brief description of the game if Brad so asks for it. Brad, are you ready?
Sure.
Round 1.
Round 1.
So a lot of these, I started off with just picking games that had to do with the news stories or things that reminded me of them. The first round is kind of like this. So for round 1, we have Rise, Son of Rome, which reminded me of the Call of Duty story. Evolve, which of course was talked about earlier. And because I needed a third game, the PS4 remaster of Resident Evil 5.
So I know that Rise and Evolve did not do well on their release. Both of them sorta kinda went, but I think Evolve did worse than Rise. I know Rise had an issue with its QuickTime events that people thought they were way too much, and their execution kills were not great because we were still in the era where everybody had to have, QuickTime events and glorified kills, but did Evolve do worse? I think it's almost a guarantee, right? Like, I can't think of a launch other than Mighty Number 9 whose launch went worse than Evolve's, because their launches did not go well at all. So I'm completely writing off Resident Evil there, because I feel like even if it's not a good remake, it's better than those two. So I think I'm gonna go with Evolve, just out of gut instinct.
Brad.
Yes?
You're wrong. Rise, Son of Rome was the lowest rated. Can you tell me what Rise was rated?
Probably like a 77.
It's a 60.
No.
Yeah. The second highest rated was Resident Evil 5 with a 71, and the highest rated was Evolve with a 76.
Really? I'm actually surprised about that. My gut has misled me.
Exactly.
Probably because I'm hungry.
Me too. I haven't eaten anything today. Round 2.
Round 2.
Okay. Red Dead Revolver. Ooh. Threw you for a loop there. You thought I was going to go with Redemption. I went with Revolver. The Warriors, and Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne. This started off as getting games that had to do with it, and then it turned into just PS2 Rockstar games.
Oh, God. I know nothing about any of these games, so I'm just going to have to make up complete logic as to what is...
Would you like to ask for a brief description of each game?
Sure.
Red Dead Revolver is a third-person cowboy shooter. I don't think it's open world like Redemption is, but I know that it's just like it's the first Red Dead game. The Warriors is a third-person beat-em-up game where you move around and fight different gangs in New York City as the Warriors. You can do other stuff like steal car stereos and rob stores. It's pretty great. And Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne, is the sequel to Max Payne, where it's a third-person shooter where you jump and dive and slide, and it's all in slow motion, and you play as Max Payne.
Alright, so here's my logic as to how I'm going to rank these games. Watchers is probably the highest because it's getting a re-release, so...
Warriors, not Watchers.
Warriors, Warriors. So, if it didn't do well, it wouldn't be getting a re-release. That's my logic behind it. So it's probably doing alright. So it's probably the highest. If not, it's the second highest. Which leaves Revolver and Max Payne. And Revolver is the prequel to Redemption, right? Like, Revolver came first?
Yeah, Revolver did come first. It was on PlayStation 2.
Right, so Revolver must have done pretty well to warrant a sequel in Redemption. So that's probably the second highest. And Max Payne 2 has a bunch of slow motion, which reminds me of The Matrix, and The Matrix 2 is the one that people don't like, right? So I'm gonna say that's probably the lowest.
What weird logic to fix. So you're going with Max Payne 2?
Yeah, I'm going with Max Payne 2.
Brad, you're wrong again.
The
lowest rated was Red Dead Revolver.
Oh.
Can you tell me what Red Dead Revolver was rated?
A 65.
73.
Okay, I'm all off today. So nothing's going well.
Second highest rated was The Warriors with an 84, and the highest rated was Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne with an 86. This is a game about picking the highest rated, you'd get it every time.
Yeah.
And so, round 3.
I need a voice. Round 3. I can't think of a voice.
Great. This is just all new. This is a new release one, and I picked the 3 newest releases that were on Metacritic. So we have Inside, Fury, which is one of the free games on PlayStation this month, and the Xbox One edition of 7 Days to Die.
Ooh. Now this is where my knowledge of 7 Days is going to betray me, because when I played it, this was quite a few months ago. So I imagine the game's changed a lot since then. So I'm going to falsely think this game is either better or worse than it actually is. But it was 7 Days, and what were the other two? It was Inside and...
Fury.
And Fury. So, Fury was a warrior spec in World of Warcraft, and still is, and I never liked that spec, so that's probably pretty low.
I love your logic. Can I just say that?
I mean, I gotta think of some way to categorize these things. And inside is... I have no idea. What is inside?
Inside is the new game from the people that made Limbo.
Oh, right, because that's why Limbo sold so well. Well, Inside sounds like In-N-Out, which is the fast food chain we don't have here in the East, and that makes me jealous. So that's probably...
Oh my god, if we got an In-N-Out burger, I'd lose my freaking mind.
Yeah, I'd be 700 pounds, but... so I'm gonna stick with that. I think that... what was the one I thought that was the lowest? It was, Fury. I'm gonna go with Fury, because that spec sucked in WoW.
Brad, you're wrong again.
Ah! If that was the highest, I'm gonna be mad.
No, it was the second highest. The lowest rated was 7 Days to Die. Can you tell me what 7 Days to Die was rated?
Oh, that makes me kind of sad. I really liked that game when I played it. I'm gonna guess like 82. I hope it did well.
34.
Holy mother of God, what happened to that game?
I don't know. Maybe the console version's just broken in some way. Who knows? The second highest rated was Fury with a 78, and the highest rated was Inside with a 92.
I'm not surprised. I mean, everybody loved Limbo, so...
Yeah. Can you,
Holy Jesus, I need to figure out what happened to 7 Days to Die now. 34? Yeah. What the hell?
You didn't get any of them right.
No, I went from 2 weeks in a row with a 3-peat, and now I just got all 3 missed, so...
Yeah, so...
Next week I'm going to have to go 0-3 again, just to keep it even.
Exactly, so now you have to read me the spiel.
Okay, so if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at completewithdlc@gmail.com. It's going to be the best place for you to send your comments, complaints, concerns, and questions. That's a really long line for me to say, and I keep screwing it up. If you don't want to email us, then that's fine. Please just head on over to wherever you get your podcast, whether that be iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or Google Play, or any of the affiliates thereof. Once you're there, please use whatever review software they give you, whether that be thumbs, stars, arrows, or smiley faces. Please let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. We take all the feedback you guys give us and like to think we're improving the show each week, but we never quite know for sure. If you haven't caught on by now, Jacob and I are not the smartest individuals. If you do not want to review the show, that's fine. A listen is all we ask for. And I swear to God, Lawnmower Guy.
I was going to say I can hear the lawnmower man.
Alright, I gotta hurry this up before Lawnmower Guy ruins everything. If you don't want to... I already did that part. The show is live streamed at twitch.tv/completewithdlc. Head on over to Twitter. We are Complete with DLC on Twitter. That's where you're going to find out whether or not an episode is live streamed or not, whether or not any episode is being uploaded to YouTube, whether or not any of our various YouTube series are being continued, like the Sky Fortress or the Fallout or any of the other ones we have out on the pipeline for you guys. That's going to be the best place to get all that information. Check the description of the video to find our YouTube link, because we don't have a custom URL yet, because YouTube is stupid. If you do not... Lawnmower Guy completely screwed me up. I think that's all the show info. If you email the show and you want one of us to answer specifically, please put our name in the body or subject line of the email, and I will make sure the correct person answers you. And if you don't want either one of us to answer it, you don't really care, we'll sign it anyway, just so you know who answered you. Jacob, if they want to get in touch with you specifically, where can they do that?
You can find me on any sort of social media at itsjaygriff, ITSJAYGRIFF. I'm probably most active on Twitter, though, so if you really do want to get in touch with me, you can follow me on Twitter, and then we can talk and have a grand old time. Brad, if they want to get in touch with you, where can they do that?
If you want to get in touch with me, you can head on over to Twitter as well. I'm Kalgny on Twitter, KALGNE. Not terribly active, but I do frequent it, so I will notice you if you try to get in touch with me. If you actually want to have a conversation with me, though, and maybe play a few games with me while you're at it, head on over to Battle.net. That's Blizzard's little interactive hub for other games, and type in the friend code BRAD, hashtag 1261. Yes, you need the hashtag in there. It's, completely free, don't worry about it, and you can play some of Blizzard's free games, like Hearthstone or Heroes, or maybe you can play some Overwatch with me, because I would like a duo queue every now and again. Solo queue makes me sad. Once you add me as a friend, let me know where you heard the friend code, whether that be a podcast or a video on YouTube or wherever you heard it, just so that I can keep a physical note of this, and a few months down the line when I forget who you are, I don't accidentally delete it. But I think that's everything, Jacob.
No, that's not everything. What is your musical recommendation this week?
Oh, that's right. I'm actually prepared this week. I don't have to frantically scramble.
That's good.
At this point, there was an issue in my audio, so I had to cut it. And now we have this. So I'm going to explain to you guys quickly what that section was. I recommended a Overwatch meets anime, compilation thing, where they took the song from an anime opening and then overlaid it with a bunch of the Overwatch cinematic cutscenes to try to emulate like an anime opening. And it's actually really well done. I really enjoyed it. So check the link of the in the episode description, and you guys will find it. And hope you enjoy. Now back to your regularly scheduled episode. What about you, Jacob? What do you got for music this week?
I don't have anything really specific. I've been listening to a lot of Elton John lately, so.
No, there we go. Some Elton John.
Listen
Jacob.
to Elton John. He's real great.
Oh, and the music soundtrack from Deadpool. There you go. That's my second recommendation.
Yes, that's a great soundtrack.
Yes.
A lot of even just the instrumental stuff's really good, and the just the songs in it is great. So yeah,
it's fantastic. Oh, and if you guys if this has not been apparently clear, check the description of every episode on Thursdays for the musical recommendations. I almost always leave a link to my recommendation. Jacob's are usually pretty well known, like, you know, the Red Hot Chili Peppers or Elton John.
Yeah.
So they're pretty easy to find, but mine are sometimes a little more obscure. So if there's something you don't know how to find, check the description of the episode, and it'll almost always be there.
Yeah. So that's it, though. That's the end of another episode this week.
Yes, and it's over an hour, so I'm sad.
Yes. This has been Complete with DLC. I'm Jacob Griffin.
I'm going to cry myself to sleep.
And thank you for listening.
More editing. Oop, I didn't hit stop.